Welcome to Grim Dreams, where shadows whisper and stories come alive. Here we weave chilling tales of magic, mystery, and the unexpected. Perfect for brave little dreamers who aren't afraid of the dark. From haunted woods to cursed castles, every story will send a delightful shiver down your spine. So turn the lights low, pull your blanket tight, and step into a world where dreams are just a little darker. Are you ready for tonight's tale? Tonight's tale is Rumpelstiltskin. There was once a poor miller who had a beautiful daughter, and one day he had to speak with the king. In order to make himself seem important, he said that he had a daughter who could spin straw into gold. The king was very fond of gold and thought to himself, "That is an art which would make me very happy." And so he said to the miller, "If your daughter is so clever, bring her to the castle in the morning, and I will check if she really is as useful as you say." As soon as she arrived, the king led her into a chamber which was full of straw, and giving her a wheel and a reel, he said, "Now, set yourself to work, and if you have not spun this straw into gold by the early hours of tomorrow, you must die." With these words, he shut the room door and left the young girl alone. There, she sat for a long time, thinking how to save her life, for she didn't know how straw might be spun into gold, and her worry increased more and more, till at last she began to cry. Suddenly the door opened, and in stepped a little goblin man, who said,
"Good evening, fair maiden. Why do you weep so much?"
She replied, "I must spin this straw into gold, and I am sure I do not know how." The goblin asked,
"What will you give me in return if I spin it for you?"
My necklace," said the maiden. The goblin took the necklace and placed himself in front of the wheel, and spin, 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 3 times round, until the bobbin was full. Then he set up another, and spin, 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 until the bobbin was full. And so he went all night long, until all the straw was spun, and the bobbins were full of gold. At sunrise, the king came, very much astonished to see the gold, the sight of which gladdened him. But this did not make his heart any less greedy. He led the maiden into another room, still larger and full of straw. He then told her to spin it into gold during the night if she valued her life. The maiden was again quite at a loss about what to do, but while she cried, the door opened suddenly. As before, the strange goblin appeared once more, and he asked her what she would give in return for his assistance. "The ring off my finger," she replied. The goblin took the ring and began to spin at once, and by morning all of the straw was changed into glistening gold. The king was rejoiced above measure at the sight of this, but still he was not satisfied. Leading the maiden into yet another larger room, full of straw, he said, "This you must spin during the night, but if you accomplish it, you shall be my bride." "For," thought the king, "a richer wife you cannot have in all the world." When the maiden was left alone, the goblin again appeared and asked for the 3rd time,
"What will you give me to do this for you?"
"I have nothing left that I can give you," replied the maiden.
"Then promise me your firstborn child if you become queen,"
said he. The miller's daughter thought, "Who can even tell if that will ever happen?" And not knowing how else to help herself out of this trouble, she promised the creature what he desired, and he immediately set about finishing the spinning. When morning came, and the king found all he had wished for done, he celebrated his wedding, and the miller's fair daughter became queen. The happy times she had at the king's court caused her to forget that she had made a very foolish promise. Even the king turned out to be not quite the mean person that he had appeared to be, and they both fell in love with each other. About a year after their marriage, when she had ceased to think about the little goblin, she brought a fine child into the world, and suddenly, soon after its birth, the very man appeared and demanded what she had promised. The frightened queen, offered him all the riches of the kingdom if he would leave her child, but the goblin answered,
"No, something human is dearer to me than all the wealth of the world."
The queen began to weep and groan so much that the creature pitied her and said,
"I will leave you 3 days to consider. If in that time you discover my name, you shall keep your child."
All night long the queen racked her brains for names that she could think of, and sent a messenger through the country to collect far and wide any new names. The following morning the goblin came, and she began with, Caspar, Melchior, Balthazar, and all the odd names that she knew. But at each the little man exclaimed,
"That's not my name."
The second day the queen asked all of her people for uncommon and curious names, and called the creature Ribs of Beef, Sheepshank, Whalebone, but at each he said,
"This is not my name."
The third day the messenger came back and said, I have not found a single name, but as I came to a high mountain near the edge of a forest where the foxes and hares say good night to each other, I saw there a little house, and before the door a fire was burning, and round this fire a very curious little goblin creature was dancing on one leg and shouting,
"Today I stew, and then I'll bake. Tomorrow I shall the queen's child take." Ah, how famous it is that nobody knows that my name is Rumpelstiltskin.
When the queen heard this, she was very glad, for now she knew the name, and soon after came the goblin and asked,
"Now, my lady queen, what is my name?"
First she said, Are you called Conrad?
"No."
Are you called Hal?
"No."
Are you called Rumpelstiltskin?
"A witch has told you! A witch has told you!"
Shrieked the little creature, and stamped his right foot so hard in the ground with rage that he could not pull it out again. Then he took hold of his left leg with both of his hands, and pulled away so hard that his right leg came off in the struggle, and he hopped away howling terribly, and from that day to this the queen has heard no more of her troublesome visitor. Thanks for joining us on Grim Dreams, where every story brings magic and mystery. Until next time, keep your imagination alive and your nightlight close. You never know what wonders might visit you in your grim dreams.